Good morning, everyone. If you could take your seats. I want to welcome everybody here and thank you so much for being here. My name is Beth Devine and I'm the Executive Director of the Philadelphia Youth Sports Collaborative. If I tried to thank everyone in this room or everyone that has agreed to be a part of this initiative, we'd be here for the next half hour listening to that. So I will just say that we have built an incredible cross-sector team to do this work, and we are super excited to have everybody that we have as part of it. I do want to thank one or two people, though, because without them, maybe this wouldn't have steamrolled to where it is. I want to thank Jim Lynch, who agreed to meet up about a year and a half ago, and we walked away with the plan for this task force on a cocktail napkin. And that cocktail napkin, I took it to my board, and they said yes. So I want to thank the board and everybody that was kind of instrumental in getting the thoughts around this initiative together and pushing it forward with some great guidance, and I'm really appreciative of that. We've pulled together an incredible team of stakeholders from sectors including government, education, professional sports and their respective foundations, corporations, health systems, philanthropies, and most importantly, direct providers, of whom many are in this room. Not one person who was approached for this initiative said no, not one. And I think that's indicative of the importance of this work. When we think of youth sports, often our minds go to the pay-to-play system that we see permeating our suburbs. But sports-based youth development is different from that. The providers we work with use sport, something that kids love and gravitate towards, to engage youth in additional activities in areas like academics, healthy lifestyle, nutritional education, mentoring, leadership, grit, character development, and so much more. As we know, simply being in a sports program can help with confidence and camaraderie, but when you add in meaningful support in other areas, you get sports-based youth development, which we believe is a slam dunk. Get it? Sports can change a person's trajectory. I can say that my trajectory was meaningfully altered by sport in many ways, but I can think of two that kind of resonate here. The first was when I was 6 years old and I followed the neighborhood kids down to the park for the community softball league with my brother's banged up mitt and stared longingly through the fence for 6 innings before the coach finally said, "Someone get that kid a t-shirt," and put her in the game. And I ended up in right field behind the right fielder with my mitt hanging off my hand. And it didn't matter that I was never going to get a ball. What mattered is I was a Panther and I was on that team and I had a new group of friends right then and there. The second time was when I was asked to run a girls basketball clinic by a fellow by the name of Jim Kenny about 9 years ago. And we got all 6 Division I women's basketball teams into one gym. We had 160 girls turn up. We had about 40 parents turn up, and they did a coach's clinic because they wanted to engage in their children's programming. And at the end of that clinic, if we had 160 girls there and 100 parents, every single parent came up and said, "Well, what's next?" And I turned to Jim and I said, "Well, why is that everybody's question?" He said, "Because this programming isn't everywhere down here." And he helped open my eyes to the fact that there is not parity in our neighborhoods, and there's not parity in youth sport here in the city. And that changed my work for the next, well, ever since, 8 years. So that work brings us here today. And you might be asking, well, why a task force? I mean, we know what has to be done, don't we? But last week I had the opportunity to spend time with Eric Zilmer, who's the athletic director at Drexel University. And he said something in this half-hour conversation that I couldn't stop thinking about. He said, every great city deserves to give their children the opportunity to participate and engage in sport. And we are a great city. We are a great city. We are passionate about sports. And let's not forget that we do have a robust sports-based youth development sector here in Philadelphia. At the Philadelphia Youth Sports Collaborative, we work with 23 nonprofit providers who deliver amazing sports-based youth development programs. We have a Parks and Rec department that is working constantly to scale their programming so that more children have access. And I could go on about many entities in this room who deliver this type of work. But what we want to do with the task force is build the game plan for the biggest and best sports-based youth development system in the country. We want to build a system. And this system will ensure access, quality, and community building around sports for neighborhoods across the city. No matter what zip code a child is born into, parents should know that their child can play in a safe, quality, kid-first sports program. Their child can experience all the good that comes with this type of programming. In all the national models we've studied thus far, the most successful community impact teams were built with a backbone organization. This is what the Philadelphia Youth Sports Collaborative commits to. Call us the point guard. I was a basketball player, so all of my references are going to be basketball. But not the kind that shoots first. Rather, the type that distributes the ball to all of our teammates in this effort. Finally, we commit to completing the task force with actionable items, plans for collaboration, policy recommendations, and identified resources to support all of these plans. I've always thought when you put a bunch of people who are interested in sport in one room, you had better be thinking about action, because words are going to get left to the Monday morning quarterbacks. This team is going to act. In closing, I want to share a quote that I saw at South Philadelphia High School. Shout out to Otis, because I bet he was part of this. Because over the weekend, I went back to that same basketball clinic. 9 years later, that clinic still exists. All 6 Division I basketball teams, the women's teams, were in that building, and the kids were there. And I walked around South Philadelphia High School, and I was struck by a quote that was on the wall just outside the gym. And it was Roberto Clemente, who said, "Anytime you have an opportunity to make a difference in this world and you don't, then you are wasting your time on earth." We have an incredible team for this task force. We don't plan on wasting any time because our kids are counting on it. And now I'd like to introduce an important teammate who is helping to fund the task force on sports-based youth development, Becky Lynch from GlaxoSmithKline.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the lovely introduction, Beth. My name is Becky Lynch, and I work for a company called GSK. For those of you who are not familiar with us, we're a science-led global healthcare company with 3 world-leading businesses that research, develop, and manufacture innovative medicines, vaccines, and consumer healthcare products. We have a significant presence here in the greater Philadelphia area, where we employ nearly 5,000 people. We are committed to improving health in the communities where we live and work, which is why we're so excited to support the Philadelphia Youth Sports Collaborative. We know that health is about a lot more than health care. Up to 80% of what affects our health outcomes has nothing to do with what's happening inside the doctor's office, but what's happening in our neighborhoods. We also know that many neighborhoods across this great city don't have the same safe places for kids to play and exercise, and many don't have access to the great sports youth development programs like those that PYSC supports. These programs not only give young people the opportunity to stay active, they provide so many other benefits, including tutoring and mentorship, college and career readiness, and leadership skills, which we know all affect long-term health outcomes. At GSK, we know these programs work because we've seen them in action. Many of the sports-based youth development programs who are part of the collaborative have won the GSK Impact Award, which is a very competitive program that recognizes groups that are having measurable improvements on community health in Philadelphia. We're also pleased that this work builds on great progress already being made in Philadelphia to drive down obesity rates among young people and capitalizes on the city's current focus to expand high-quality out-of-school time programs to improve outcomes for Philadelphia students. We are proud to support the Task Force on Youth-Based Sports Development led by PYSC, and thank everyone here today for working together to ensure that all Philadelphia students have access to programs that use sports to foster positive development. And now I'd like to introduce Dr. William Hite, Superintendent of the School District of Philadelphia.
Good morning. Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Thank you, Becky, for the introduction, and I'm grateful to you and everyone at GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, for their support on this important initiative for our young people. In addition, I want to thank Beth Devine. Hi, Beth. I want to thank Beth Devine of the Philadelphia Youth Sports Collaborative. We are very excited to be working with you as a partner. And I, too, want to acknowledge Jimmy Lynch from the school district. Mayor Kinney, I also appreciate you hosting this event today, and thank you for being with us earlier as we celebrated some good news on state assessments. The school district is fully committed to work with this task force, and children all across Philadelphia should have equal access to sports, partnerships that enhance their experiences, and a long-term funding stream to ensure that our students can truly benefit from athletics. This task force is not just about more opportunities for our student athletes in each sport. This task force is going to help us find ways to use sports to better develop well-rounded young people. Over the past several years, we have put forth a strong effort to stabilize our schools, athletic departments, and move our focus toward leadership and character development. As we begin expanding upon our partnership with the PYSC and Parks and Recs, that effort will continue to create structure in our interscholastic programs as we continue to build on our tradition of success. We already have sport-based youth partnerships that enhance many of our schools. They help youth connect with their peers, develop skills, with those skills to contribute to their communities and help give our communities a real sense of pride. And Philadelphia, probably more than any other city, which was already mentioned, has a strong storied tradition of student athletes soaring to great heights. With all hands on deck with the task force, we will help that strong tradition continue. Personally, I know and am a product of an experience of sports, and it is what, in many cases, motivated me to continue to go to school, and then that motivation then led to an opportunity to go to the college level, and then it also led to an opportunity as a superintendent and as a father to see who had an oldest daughter who attended college because she participated and started very young participating in track. And now with a grandson who is 5 years old and participating in soccer in Recs and Parks, through Recs and Parks down in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia, I have a firsthand experience of the importance to ensure that all of our young people have this opportunity and have access to this opportunity. So this task force work is about ensuring that we will no longer continue to work in silos, competing for all of the young student athletes to be a part of our respective club or activity, but instead use an integrated, coordinated, collaborative approach to ensure that we are providing a system that provides all children with the opportunity. And those opportunities should be vast here in Philadelphia. And that's what this task force, made up of some extraordinary individuals who are drawn from the senior ranks of government, business, health, and higher education, professional and collegiate athletes, and social services, is all about. So we in the School District of Philadelphia look forward to working with the task force, and all of us are looking forward to seeing its results. And now it's my pleasure to turn the podium over to the Chief Schools Officer for the City of Philadelphia, Otis Hackney. Otis is a great partner in this work, and we're definitely glad to have you as a part of this effort.
Good morning, and thank you, Dr. Height, for that introduction, and also to Beth for inviting me to be here. You said you play point guard. I'll be your power forward. I got you, all right? I love playing basketball. The problem is I'm a power forward in a linebacker's body, so it didn't quite work out for me. And so once again, it's a pleasure to be here, to be part of the collaborative and looking at the opportunities that exist for our youth in the city. Right now, the synergy around youth is higher than I've seen in a very long time. As someone who's grown up in Philadelphia, former teacher, principal, and now chief education officer, I've been engaged in working with young people for many years. But I think what you see right now with the city's leadership, that the effort and energy and time that needs to be committed to reach out to our young people and to provide them with the opportunities that they deserve is happening. I was principal one time at Springfield Township High School out in Montgomery County, and people used to ask me all the time, after I left Springfield, someone went to Springfield? I see. And then after I left Springfield, I went to South Philadelphia High School. And people would ask me, what's the biggest difference between Springfield and South Philadelphia High School? And I would say, water polo teams. And people would look at me and they say, what do you mean? I said, water polo teams. I said, boys, girls, JV, and varsity. I had 4 water polo teams at Springfield Township High School. And I knew students in South Philly, and if you can understand what that means, all the resources and access and support that those young people have to participate in a sport like water polo and to go to a school like South Philadelphia High School where you pretty much had a few sports and they were just in the traditional areas. So one of the first things I did was try to get a field hockey team and a lacrosse team. Because when I was in Springfield, I saw the access that students had in non-traditional sports that we look at in urban communities. And that was one of the first things that I did because I saw the opportunities that it had for our young people. You know, when young people, young men hear that one of the greatest lacrosse players that ever played was Jim Brown, and they're like, really? And they say, yeah, they kind of changed the rules of the game. You talk about Wilt Chamberlain, how he changed basketball, but when they learn the impact that people of color, people that look like them have had on non-traditional sports, it opens their eyes. So the work here is not just about looking and seeing what we have available, but it's also about access. How do we make sure that we create access points for young people to participate, whether they want to play basketball or whether they want to play water polo, but getting them involved and making them feel like they are supported in those endeavors. So this work is very important, and I'm happy and pleased and proud to be a part of it. And like I said, the energy around the city for this work and the time is perfect. So all of those folks people that have joined in the collaborative on this work, I thank you. And the vision that you've had, Beth, and bringing this together, and then also a longtime friend of mine, Kenny Holzman, that I've worked with back in Freedom Schools. I know that this is also part of some things that he's been wanting to do for a long time. So I'm just really happy and honored to be a part of this and excited for what it's going to bring to the city moving forward. Now I get to introduce my coach. But not only is he the coach of the city, but I guess he's CEO, the manager, and coach of the city right now. But I get to introduce our mayor, Jim Kitty, who also was a coach. I hear you coached hockey at one point. I'm very proud of that. I'm happy to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you, Otis, and good morning to everyone. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here launching on the launch of this task force. I'd like to start by thanking, he's not here today, but I'd like to thank Philly's president, David Montgomery, for we appreciate his continued commitment to the success of Philadelphia's children, his involvement with this effort. We launched the Out of School Time Initiative in February with the goal of increasing quality programming outside of the classroom. This task force is one of those efforts. It's an important piece of that puzzle. We know that students who attend quality after-school programming have better attendance and are more likely to graduate on time. They are also less likely to participate in or be victims of violence. And I'm proud that crime in Philadelphia is at a 40-year low, but I know we can get those numbers down even further by strengthening our out-of-school time programming. A lot of the key partners in the out-of-school time initiative have already done a lot of great things for the children of Philadelphia. For instance, programs like Read by Fourth and the Right Books campaign, which are dedicated to early literacy and making sure our students are reading at grade level, were essential to recent significant improvements on the PSSA exams. And I want to again congratulate Dr. Haidt and his team for all the hard work they did in turning this big ship around and putting it in the right direction. When we get all these groups on the same page and working together, we can continue to see these results for years to come. And that's what the Out of School Time Initiative seeks to do. So I want to thank everyone who's here today and look forward to getting to work. And Beth mentioned a program that we undertook about 9 years ago. Philly Girls Got Game and Philly Girls Got Game, and then the other iteration, Philly Girls in Motion. At that Philly Girls Got Game program, there was a 9 or 10-year-old young girl named Kamaya Smalls, who from South Philadelphia, and she showed up with her basketball shoes and her goggles. We laugh because she always wore goggles. I don't know why, but she loved them. And she was so enthusiastic and so wanted to play. And every time she was taken out, she would beg to get back in or play another game. She is now a sophomore at James Madison University in Virginia. She was last year's Rookie of the Year in her conference. And she has developed from a young, shy girl into this great leader. That is just fabulous. You know, one of the best things that ever happened to America was Title IX. It just opened up the opportunity for young women to participate in sports if they were talented enough to get a full scholarship to college. I was involved in the Newman Grady basketball program still am, but were involved even more closely back in 2013, 14, 15, and 2015. They were ranked #1 in the nation as a high school women's basketball team. From that program, there are at least 12, 13 young women who are now in Division I schools matriculating under full scholarship. None of them would have been in college without sport. None of them. We had 3 young ladies from Nigeria who came with nothing but the sandals on their feet, they didn't even have basketball shoes, and we had to go to the Sixers to get a size 16 for one of our 6'9" Nigerians who's now playing at Virginia. And we have one at Texas Austin and one at Boston College. Towson, Maryland, Duquesne, Georgia Tech, Rutgers. CeCe Cryer moved from Georgia Tech to Rutgers. She had to sit out a year because of NCAA rules. She is a beast, and she'll be playing for the first time in a year against Temple. Actually, they open against Temple at Leocore Center. I just cannot wait for that game. The point of the matter is that young women, I mean, a lot of the attention on sport is men. A lot of the attention on high school sports are men. The men seem to get everything, get all the good uniforms and all the good Nike apparel and all the good shoes, and the men's programs are the ones that are promoted. But the women's programs are just as exciting. I remember being at the 2015 at the Palestra during the Catholic League Championship between New Magretti and Wood, our nemesis. And the building was filled up waiting for the men's game. Basically, that's why all the people showed up to watch. I think it was New Magretti versus Roman, or one of their other big time schools. And I remember Cryer coming down the court and making a move when the whole building went, ooh. So when you have a whole group of people at the Palestra go, ooh, when a woman makes a move on a court, you know there's a lot of talent there, and we're looking forward to seeing her play this year. But the point of the matter is that the more we open up, and Otis said this correctly, people in Philadelphia didn't know what lacrosse or field hockey or water polo or golf or any of those sports are in our crew. And these are all opportunities for young people to participate and to excel, and to perhaps, if they're good enough and they work hard enough, to get a scholarship to go to college when their parents couldn't afford to send them. So I think this is a wonderful opening up of access for our children, and it folds right into our Rebuild program, because when we get our facilities, our recreation centers, and our parks and our ball fields up to speed like they are in the suburbs, and even better, our kids will understand what equity is and what hope is, and they'll be able to really excel. And I want to thank Beth Devine for her friendship and for her organization and the way she organizes what she does, and keeps us all on the same track of raising money and doing the things we need to do to make our kids' lives better. So I want to thank everybody involved in this initiative, and let's get to work and let's make our kids' lives better. Thank you. Because it was not in my notes, I did not introduce Michael DiBerardinis, who is our managing director, and I'll do that right now. Thank you.
Thanks. Hi, everybody, and good morning. I want to thank everyone here, all the leadership here, and the members of the task force that are here. I can't say how important I think this work is. I was an enthusiastic young boy and teenager athlete whose love for the sports far exceeded his talent. And I think I speak for a lot of folks in the room who love sports, and that's what drove them, and their size and their speed and their overall talent didn't quite match up for the love. But it stays with you. That's my point. The love stays with you. As a father of four, I saw, and as a volunteer coach in Fishtown and Kensington for soccer and baseball, I saw the power of sports in young people's lives, and saw the connections not only to the young person, the kids they're playing with, but to their community and the adults in the community. That's a very important connection. So, and then as a Parks and Recreation Commissioner for a long time, I saw how community volunteers and the staff of that department got thousands and thousands of kids. We didn't just have the money for it, but without the volunteers, we would not have the level of programming we have right now in athletes across the city. And then got a chance to work with all the nonprofits, and some of them are here in the room, who build and support these efforts. So there's a great base to start with here, and I think the collaborative gets that. And the challenge and the opportunity here is, how do we do more of this work, and how do we do it better? So how do we improve the quality and the quantity and the quality of what we offer our young people? How do we measure the impact? And that's what I think the value and the gift that the Philadelphia Youth Sports Collaborative is providing us all here in the city who care so much about this work, and see it connected to success in school, see it as connected to building competencies in self-worth and confidence. See it as successful of keeping our neighborhoods intact and keeping adults connected to kids. And it's about success. In the end, it's about young people having a chance and an opportunity to succeed at something they love. And if we can give them that through this work, we will have done a great deed, and we will have advanced the work. The mayor's leadership here should not be without mentioning. We have committed ourselves to helping young people read at grade level by 4th. We're committing ourselves to getting adolescents and high school kids involved in sports in a meaningful, important way and measuring that impact. And we're committing ourselves to moving kids, working with Dr. Hite, to move young people to jobs and to career pathways. All of this works together. Rebuild coming in behind it to give the quality that our young people deserve, that our adult volunteers deserve, is really, really important as well. So I can't tell you how happy I am to be the co-chair of the task force, how honored I am, and to acknowledge the work of Dave Wilson, a deputy managing director, Parks and Recreation Commissioner Catherine Ott-Level, and Christine Piven, Dave's chief of staff. They're carrying this work in the MDO's office, and I want to thank them and look forward to great success here. Thank you.
So that brings us to our close, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you to everybody standing up here, or sitting up here. And we had girls on one side, boys on the other. I don't know if you noticed that, but I did. So thank you for bringing up Title IX. We'll have to work on it in this room, but whatever. You know, what really struck me when we started to formulate this process, one phone call to Catherine Ott-Level, yes. One phone call to Christine Piven, yes. One email with Dave Wilson, yes. One conversation with everybody sitting up here, and the answer was yes, unanimously. We had no one who didn't want to drive this work. And so that's when everyone wants to be on the team, you're going to have a pretty good team. And we're really excited to get this launched. Our first task force meeting will be held on October the 17th. That will be for all task force members as well as the committee members. We have 4 subcommittees who will be informing the group, and we're raring to go. So 2 weeks can't come fast enough. But I thank you again, everyone who is in this room to hear what we're doing, who's participating in some way. Our board, we have several members of our board here, so if anybody has any Philadelphia Youth Sports Collaborative questions, we're here to answer them. And again, have a great day. We really appreciate you all being here.